Welcome to Linkronicity, where your journey and destiny link. I'm Stacey Kumagari, Linkologist, and I'm here to help you link your life. How are you, lovely souls? How are you doing? How are you navigating these last few weeks? We've been through a big transit change of energy, and for those of you who are feeling the turbulence, you know what I'm talking about. We're being asked to kind of ascend to the next level of wrapping up this year as we look ahead to 2023 and working with those energies as we make some conscious choices. So today I was called upon the collective to talk about these energies, actually interpret what they mean in terms of communication, both professionally in business and also personally for you individually for your own life and how you relate in your life. And we're going to work through all of this in what we're being called to next. So what does that mean exactly? We're going to be talking about how we link to failure and success. So this means we're going to be doing some journal prompts. So get your pen and your paper or other electronic device, however you take notes, pause the video, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, lovely souls, are you ready? We're going to dive deeply into what I'm being channeled through right now in terms of what we need to excavate, what we need to understand, what we need clarity on. And as we look at the topics of failure and success, personally and professionally, we have to examine what our relationship is to these two energies and how they have transformed in the last couple of years, and where we're going to be taking what we know now into 2023. So, journal prompt number 1, we're going to be addressing this question. How do you define failure? And how has failure defined you? I know, that sounds really heavy, but we're only barely scratching the surface here. We really are. It's a big question, but we're going to dive into it a little bit more deeply with A, B, and C. So how do you define failure, and how has failure defined you? If we understand this personally and professionally, we make our higher consciousness awareness choices differently based on our relationship with failure. Why is this so? It's because failure is literally linked to success. However you look at failure, and this is going to be different for everybody depending on how much work you've done these last 2 years, how much reflection, how much introspection, how much have you explored into your own change in your relationship with self and relationship with others and how your communications have evolved. How do you define failure, and how do you let it define you? Now, it's important to understand that because as we look at failure shaping us, we're going to be able to answer journal prompt A underneath failure, as in, what have you learned from failure? What has it taught you? What have you learned from failure, and what has it taught you? If we explore this, we can then answer journal prompt B. Journal prompt B being, how has your idea of failure transformed from the last 2 years? What does that look like? What is your relationship like to it? Why is this important? It's important because if you can identify that, not only will you observe how much you've grown personally and professionally in your identification with said attachment, psychologically, emotionally, and physically to said failure. But that's also shaping up for how we're going to be addressing journal prompt number 2, which is, how do you define success, and how has success defined you? Now, success is very tricky because a lot of people attach themselves more to success being an outcome and failure being the flip side of that. But it's not necessarily true. Now you're going to go, what? How's that not true? It's not. It's not necessarily true, because as you've evolved over time in these last few years, however you've pivoted personally and professionally, your relationship to success has a lot to do with ego. Now, if you are a human on this spiritual journey, you will realize that you're shedding ego. You're shedding pride and attachment to success being the full, whole definition of who you are. It's not who you are. It's just a label like anything else. Really, it is. So how you really relate to that, how you connect with it, is really about where your expectations are. Now what have we learned over these last 2 years about expectations? When we have expectation, we're actually applying more ego to that attachment of outcome, right? Because you're invested. Well, you can still be invested, but you don't have to necessarily connect it to your emotions and your psyche as to it being the total all end all be all, because it's not. It's just a piece of it. It's a piece of it. Because if you have productivity leading up to said success or failure, that work can't be undone, and that work is not for naught. It was for purpose. And if we look at that journey and we look at that trajectory of what did you learn in the process, regardless of whether you have a failure or success, that's kind of like after you're done baking a cake, right? That's the icing, the candles, the whatever, sprinkles, whatever. The process is the foundation. The process is the cake building. The process is also newly acquired knowledge, applied process of elimination, understanding, deep root digging, finding resources, doing research, looking at solutions, looking at a problem through a different set of eyes, finding resolve or not, but still being further than you were before you even tried. So as we look at that relationship to the idea of failure and success, we're really gaining a lot of wisdom. But if we don't stop and take stock of what that wisdom is, we can't really reshape failure and success differently unless we appreciate the journey and the process of our learning curve. Learning curves matter a lot, personally and professionally, whatever you learn. And that just isn't only about your observation. Observation is really key to seeing things, but that's not the only piece of it. Understanding it from a lot of different places is where we grow, where we expand. So let's say you're a company, and you're a company who has this idea of a campaign you want to launch, or a product you want to develop, or whatever it is, the next whatever. You're already setting yourself up for your own attachment to the next whatever because you've put a label on it in terms of what it's going to be rather than what it can do. And that's how we're looking at 2023 differently. Because maybe in the past, even pre-pandemic and even through the pandemic, everyone is trying to find answers, find solutions, problem solve, navigate the terrain of where we were going. And in the process, there was so much attachment and expectation to, right, this next thing, the answer. But if you only put your expectation and your labeling on that, you've missed the point of trying, and you've missed the point of the process of what you can learn, because if whatever you're doing is a failure, you're not seeing the pieces that were very successful to which you can apply to doing next better, therefore improving, new and improved version of your old idea or your old framework of your plan or your old framework of, what worked then may not work now, and what works now is going to be even changing even further and evolving further. So we have to have these conversations, lovely souls, personally and professionally, because as we look at where our world is going and how it's changing, and more importantly, our place in it, we won't feel comfortable. And I don't mean comfortable in the sense of get out of your comfort zone comfortable. We won't feel comfortable in terms of assured footing, confidence, taking action, building upon our own solution framework forward. We won't feel comfortable in that, in pushing and changing and taking action unless we understand it. Because if you're going forward blindly without understanding anything, you're actually setting yourself up for failure, right? That's what research is for. That's why we kind of examine things. We analyze things. Analyzing things is helpful and good, but too much analyzing is also bad in the sense that if you keep doing that, you never really take action upon anything. So our relationship to failure and success really is dependent upon how we define that. So as you look at your journal prompt number 2 and how do you define success and how does it define you, you're going to find something really unique in that if you have done the work and you have changed and you've evolved and these last 2 years actually taught you something and you actually apply something, your connection to success isn't the way that it used to be. The status has changed. Instead, you're looking at progress, movement, and measurement of continually learning, continually evolving, continually trying and trying and trying again, right? That's success. If you can keep trying again. Yes, everybody looks at the perfection of it. But if we perfect everything and then become complacent on said perfection, we never really continually improve. And that's the piece that a lot of big businesses miss. That's a lot of the pieces that people don't pick up personally in their lives either. They look at it as failure as something personal. Well, it can be personal if you apply it personally to where, how has this changed me? How have I grown? How did I define it? How do I see it going forward? How has my own idea of it and connection and attachment to it for said outcome or whatever changed? Have I removed expectation and have I looked at it more as the human on the journey of discovering? When we lose our sense of discovery and we lose our curiosity and we lose all of that, we've missed the point of why we're here. We've missed the point in our spiritual connection, in our bigger purpose, vision-oriented connection as to why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing anyway. Why we're doing what we're doing anyway, and the impact that it's going to make, and the change that we're going to develop, and more importantly, how it's going to improve any situation, process, the world bigger, right? How's it going to make lives better? How's it going to make day-to-day better? We've missed that piece of it if we're so attached to the labels of failure and success. So as we look at 2023 going forward, professionally and personally, as I've mentioned in my other videos, which I'll put links to below, we've missed the point of 2023, which is going to be the 7-seeker year. Seeker of education, seeker of information, seeker of knowledge, and applied wisdom. Applied wisdom gained through said processes of these past few years as we were scrambling, navigating, trying not to be reactive, trying to be proactive, and really seeing how that entire process transformed those definitions of failure and success. So as you look at your journal prompts now and you look at how you define failure, what was your definition of failure? How has it defined you? What is your definition of success? How has it defined you? If you look at those things and that relationship and your place in it and your connection to it, when you step forward individually as a person, as a human, on this spiritual journey and right? Spiritual being on a human journey, and having that little relationship, linked relationship to that. However you show up professionally is also going to change and transform on your individual contributions, your ideas, your imagination, your creative freedom, the boxes that you remove, parameters that you remove, the shackles, the imprisonment of thinking that you can't come up with a solution or problem solve something or have an idea. And if we're not all doing this work and being open to each other in a collaborative, connective way, then we've missed the point, lovely souls. We've missed the point of all of this energy that we're experiencing. And so as I'm trying to prepare you for next year, I'm hoping you'll do the individual inventory and work that you need to do in really, truly having a real relationship and understanding with all of this energy that you are maybe even putting in the back of your mind, the back shelf of your mind, or the back shelf of your heart, or in really even not even looking at it from this deeper place. You know, we're just sometimes on automatic pilot and we're going through life and we're missing the whole idea of, you know, what are these last few years meant? What is it meant for progress? What is it meant for change? What is it meant for our evolution as a society, humanity, the world, the way we do things, the way we share information, the way that we process the bigger meaning of life, the bigger meaning of purpose, the bigger meaning of why we're here, and why we're communicating what the heck we're communicating. Is it purposeful? Is it transparent? Is there clarity within it? And are we applying new wisdom to it? And more importantly, how much authenticity is really there based on your truth of what you learned from your Inner Healing 2.0 series, the truth that you've excavated? And how is that helping you make forward steps into stepping into the new, evolved vision, self, idea, understanding? How are you communicating that in a way that's actually going to be helpful for your life going forward, for your business going forward, for your day-to-day dealings moving forward, your relationship to humanity and people, and looking at solutions in terms of the bigger scope of why we're here? So I know I've unpacked a lot, lovely souls. The channel came down fast. I don't have any control over how fast that it comes, and I'm hoping that you're able to see from these journal prompt questions your place, your connection, and your understanding, and what you're learning, and how you can take that forward. So last journal prompt, examining your 2 journal prompts of failure and success. What have you learned? What do you want to take with you? What do you want to leave behind? What no longer defines you? And how are you going to use that to make essential change? I'm going to leave you with that big thought as you look to your future at 2023, the 7th Seeker Year of Knowledge and Education. And I hope that helps. I'm Stacey Kumagai, your Linkologist, here to help you link your life. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Linkronicity, blogspot.com. And if you want a private coaching session, professionally or personally, in your communication, in terms of how you relate to these energies and how they've reshaped you and where you're going next, I do custom, individual journey coaching sessions in a way that most people don't. I have no cookie cutter formula. It is really all about you, where you've been, what you're aware of presently, and where your own vision is and where you'd like to go next. And I take that in a process and help you redefine that for yourself. So go to Linkronicity.com, fill out the form, and we can connect, and I can help you with your next adventure. Have a beautiful day, lovely souls. I have gratitude from my heart and soul, and I say thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work, and I hope you have a beautiful, healthy, wonderful, blessed day.